Welcome to the new format of the cast. It's exactly the same as the old format. However, we are doing a weekly cast. So in some respect, the format's changed, and I'm looking for the intro button.
Mini Matters, a miniature and painting podcast.
Smashed it out of the park, right?
That was tight. That was quick in and out.
Get on it, and you got to keep it snappy because you got to keep the viewers interested, and that's what I'm all about now. I did a lot of research actually over the weekend, and I watched one video about video editing, how to copy paste stuff in a video editor, and I only watched it for the guy's intro. Yeah.
So you good?
He just goes, he's like really snappy. His energy's like, because the video is only like 3 minutes long, and he's like,
okay, fair enough.
He's like, right guys, let's go. And he's like this super, like, and I was like, I can't fucking do that because I mean I've got the energy, but I'm trying to introduce, paints. Well, okay, today's cast is on. You would have already got that from the thumbnail. GW's new paints. Now, I don't know much about it. Deliberately, Lionel knows everything about it, I think. You did the research, right?
Yeah, everything's strong. Okay, so we kind of picked this topic or our topic when they did a teaser. So I forwarded the teaser to Jamie, and there was a teaser about something coming to Citadel Paints, and there was a lot of rumour and speculation. There was a lot of buzz and excitement. Jamie, what could it be? Could it be?
I saw the comments.
Could it be a drop of bottles? Could it be a new wet palette? Could it be? And then when we finally got the details today, it was a bit of an anticlimax, to be honest, because it turned out to be just an extension to their existing contrast range, which we can talk about briefly anyway. And I have. I've got a few just to try out. I tend to use them mostly for pin washes, but I've heard a lot of people say they go through an airbrush really, really well. But I've just not had a chance. Yourself? Have you tried them?
I bought them. Well, I didn't buy. I don't think I bought the contrast.
Naturally.
Yeah.
Naturally.
Oh,
yeah. You bought the entire range, no doubt.
I mean, if they release it, I'm going to buy it. But I bought. I don't think it was a contrast. I think it was the gemstones. You know that
Yeah. The technical paints.
Technical paints. But then I realised actually I like making the gems look like the gems, the shiny gems from like 1999 all the way through like 89 through to basically the classic Games Workshop gems. So it just didn't really make sense for me to use that stuff. So there's, in fact, I don't even know where they are. They'll be in a drawer. They'll probably be in my mum's loft, dried out as fuck. We're allowed to swear on this still, aren't we? What do we not want to swear on Instagram? Instagram Live. Yeah, okay, good. Yeah, just check that.
The reason being is Jamie got his account taken down.
Yeah. I keep appealing that. Like once a month, I send in a thing, and I never hear back from them.
Yeah, I bet there's I bet you they spend a lot of money on rooms full of people sitting there waiting to hear appeals. Not. Just don't make the mistake.
You don't even get to. They didn't tell me. They didn't give me a warning. I just wrote "bitch ass loser" on one of my models as the product name on my fucking shop. Okay, not even directly on Instagram, and then that got imported because the products get imported. And then that was a violation of the terms and conditions. I still think they should give you a warning instead of just stripping your cat. Anyway, look, Lionel, I don't need to go in the particulars of Instagram, but it's a good thing that I'm not near our Instagram. Imagine I got us taken down.
The amount of time I put in to try and slowly build that at a snail pace, it'd ruin me. So just going back to topic. So they've announced an extension to the contrast range, and I think they put it into subsectors, but effectively, in layman's terms, we've got more contrast paints coming to suit different things. The other thing that they did speak about, which I thought was slightly unusual, is they've redone their washes again. So what they're saying now is the entire wash range has been redone, not colours as far as I'm aware, just the formula. So now they sink even deeper into the recesses.
Brilliant. I love getting into recesses big time.
And the ones that sunk into the recesses before. Clearly, weren't getting into the recesses far enough. But the reason I thought this was peculiar is because I'm sure since I've been back painting, this is probably the third time they've redone their watches or claim that this is a new, more improved formula. I don't know what your
I suppose, you know, if in theory, if you're into capitalism and a free market, Lionel, you know, progression is key, and you can never stagnate.
Well, this is going to be the jump-off point actually that I actually want to bring the discussion to, because essentially when I saw the news this morning, I thought, do we change the topic? Do we not discuss it because it's a bit
So boring. But we're pro Games Workshop now because we want to get invited to events. So from that capacity, I really think the new contrast paints are fantastic, and I'm really looking forward to trying them.
at an event. No.
Yeah.
No, I think. Look, I can't. You can't dress up a lemon, can you? I think the point with it is, I thought it was good. I'm going to move on to my jump-on point in a second. I just want to finish this before I do. But like I said, I'm pretty sure. First of all, didn't they redo them because they smelt funny? Then they redid them because there was another way that they can make it sink into the recesses or more effective. And I'm sure this is the third time in the last 5 or 6 years that they've redone the watches again. And I understand fully what you say in terms of if the cow is giving milk, then you keep milking the cow, in essence. And there will be a degree of that. But I suppose let's move on to my jump off point now. Are we now at the point where we've seen everything for our industry, with the exception of models aside, to the point where all originality has gone? And when I say that, I'm talking about painting handles. Games Workshop's on their third version of painting handle. You've got other companies got painting handles, Redgrass Games, you know, there's so many things. What happens when that's saturated? Wet palettes. Everyone's got a wet palette now. Everybody's reinventing a wet palette. The one that I really like is Redgrass Games, Redgrass Games one. But even they reinvented that to one that you could wash. So it's to the point now whereby we're now at a point where should we start voting with our pocket in terms of should we start supporting these things, particularly when innovation has gone. Vortex paint mixers, I've seen so many different versions of that. Paint brushes, you know, you've got a couple of good ones on the market, and then you've got everybody's got their own paintbrush. And paints was another one where I didn't buy paints for a couple of years because I just got fed up of everybody saying, this is a paint you have to have. This is your paint you have to have, this new formula. And I tried some of them and some of them just didn't work. And I was a late adopter of AK only because every new paint was the paint you had to have. And when I tried them, they didn't offer it. They weren't bad, but they didn't revolutionize painting like they claimed to do. However, that being said, AK, I did finally try after a long time because I thought I'm not going to go out and buy new paints when I've got enough. And to be fair, the AK paints for me are a marked improvement. But what I wanted to throw it back to you, because usually you throw a question to me and I start a discussion. I'm going to turn the tables today. Do you think we're now at a point whereby there is nothing else left for us in our market in terms of innovation? And that's why we're getting people picking the low-bearing fruit, so to speak. Or do you think the market is silly is wrong, but still has a desire, which is why they're still feeding these kind of reinventions of the same thing?
It's an excellent question, Lionel. I'm glad you asked. It is a good. The thing is, I had a few thoughts, and I didn't want to interrupt. But like, the first thing is, I think innovation will always be there. I don't think we've seen everything because it's impossible to. I think that we've seen, a remarkable amount of innovation in the last kind of 5 years in the industry, I would say, because the modelling industry is so small anyway.
From what perspective? Give me examples.
Yeah, I think that the Redgrass wet palette that did change it because it has some weird. The actual paper is very different from anything we'd had before. That's like one example. The other is I think you go through the different paints. Before we had Games Workshop's Citadel paints. but this is like 20 years ago, and they did have inks, so they already knew that inks had higher pigments and paints just had normal paints. But then they started messing around with the not the saturation, but the finish in the paints, and so you had scale 75, and you could argue that's not much innovation, really. You're just adding a varnish into your paint with a little bit more skill. But considering we're only just painting, and like you say, there's probably not much you can go, that feels like quite a big innovation. even though it's not. But
I do have to say, for me, scale 75 inks were a game changer as well in terms of saturation and the versatility with them. So yeah, I accept that point.
And then we had like heavy bodies have been around for a long time, but you had other people pushing it. The only person I know that pushed it at like publicly was Alfonso, but that's because there was the only guy that I was doing the courses. So it's possible that other artists were pushing it as well, or they just knew that you would use them, and it happened that we went on these courses to learn it. But that was a big thing, and obviously that's bringing in normal painting into miniature painting, but it still affects it. And then you had scale 75's acrylic paints, the artist ones. I think they were, in a weird way, I think that was quite an innovative thing, but not massively, but it's a subtle thing, isn't it?
So I got a number of them because that was the one that stopped me buying paints in a good way, not to be overly critical, but they were the ones where you have to have these, these, and I used them, and I found them very difficult to use, and to the point where when you had to get them in a position where you were dilute them into a position where you were ready to use them, I thought, what's this bringing to the table, in the sense that all it seems to be is condensed paint, and you can transport more of it in a tube, but by the time you need to dilute it to the point where you can apply it to a model, for example, a gaming piece, it needs to be so dilute that effectively the pigment goes a bit, and it's effectively like an acrylic that you can buy anywhere else. And that's where I subconsciously made the decision, I'm not buying any more paints, because the following year, and I've still never tried them, Chimera paints came out.
Yeah, well, that was going to be the next one, and they are different because
they were like liquid gold. They were like cream cheese. If you bought these things. And that's when I was like, this is the first one I'm not going to jump on. One, they were so difficult to source in the UK anyway, in terms of the ability to import it. And I just thought, no, I'm not going to jump on. And to this day, I've still never tried a Chimera paint.
They're all are now users basically now. Not obviously.
Oh, are they?
But basically all users. So talk to me about it. Thing is, if you're not having problems with your paints, there's not a real need to change.
Yeah, there's that, and then I suppose the problem I have it now with AK, where
the ones AK I've got are really good, the new ones.
I know that's the problem I have now. The ones I've got are really good, and I've really enjoyed using them, to the point where I thought, do I need more in the range? And I went back to scale 75 this evening. God, that was hard to use. After I've been using AK for so long, you think, you know what? I'll just roll it. I'll roll them into the range that I've already got, and I don't need to be replacing the range with another. And I tried to use this green. Don't get me wrong. There was nothing wrong with the green. I was used to using it before, but after using AK, it was hard work using the green, and the finish was different, and everything like that.
That's the problem. I think scale, because it's matte, it's harder to use when you're used to quite high saturation, because it's naturally less saturated.
There's ways around it. You can,
but why bother? Like, but the thing
for me, it's application. I think the AKs, no matter how much you dilute it, in terms of its opacity, just applies so much nicer to a model. Whereas with other brands, and particularly scale 75, there's a point where dilution is just unusable anymore.
Well, to go back to your point with the scale artist ones and the dilution being an issue, I think that, like, I've not done any real painting in 2 years now, basically, but I still, they're kind of like, you have a road tire for a bike, and then you have a mountain tire for a bike, and in my opinion, they come in the hybrid between heavy body and a normal, like, wetter acrylic. They are slightly wetter but they have more. There's a word that means it's not transparent. opaque.
Yeah, opacity. Yeah.
Then, but opaque means it's not see-through, right?
Yeah.
I always think that that's transparency, but so like if you put them on the model, you still need more. You can't use them as like a base layer or the main one, but they're slightly easier to work with than like a heavy body when you're mixing it in with normal paints, in my opinion. Like,
But the thing, and correct me if I'm wrong, I thought the
and now should
reason.
comment on this because he's watching.
Okay, comment
So,
on now.
yeah.
Educators. My understanding was the individuals who promoted heavy body, or the individual Alfonso promoted it because he liked not so much the consistency of the paint, but wasn't it because of the saturation? Didn't he say
It's the pigments in it. They're pure, basically. So
they're pure? Yeah. So that
it's
was
consistent,
the that was the characteristic he was after.
yeah.
Not the thickness of the paint. So now that we've got inks, because I never got on with heavy bodies, I found them I love the colors. So obviously the golden, is it golden? I forget the brand name, but the one that he recommends, I bought that set.
Yeah, it's literally golden.
Yeah, and the colors are beautiful.
Yeah.
But by the time you dilute them to a point where you can use them,
Well,
it's all gone.
That's probably where you're going wrong, though, Lionel.
They're too thick to put on.
Yeah, you're not. You can't use them as they're like an add-on. They basically work the same way the inks work, because
okay.
So it obviously we're not maybe good enough to use them to the full potential, like the way the professionals do. But like the way we add ink in to get more color off or to enhance the color, it's because, and we want it to be more liquid. You would use the same with heavy bodies. Maybe if you don't want it to be as liquid, if you have something that's already too liquid, then you'd add that in, or you start with that as a foundation and add other colors in that will make it lighter. Like you couldn't use like a heavy body and an ink. You still have to have that other medium in there to make it.
Okay, but for me, when you've got such a decent range of inks, particularly from scale,
why use heavy body?
Why use heavy body? I think maybe I'm once again correct.
I know why.
Correct.
I've got a
correct
great
me if
reason.
I'm wrong. Okay, go ahead.
Nice. And this is where Chimera is powerful. Is because not all of them you can, like, every single Chimera is individual. Like they're not consistent in the way they react because they're pure pigments. So it's not like Scale 75 where they're all the same consistency and you add water or whatever. They're all really different. So one like blue is like ultra liquid. It's not an ink, but it's like 20% off an ink or something. Obviously, I don't know. But
really?
So really liquid. And then you have like the red, and it's like fucking thick, and it like congeals when you squeeze it out, unless you shake it properly. But the point is, because they're pure pigments, and you can really create a load of colors with them, and you know roughly what they are because you get to know them so well. So, like Athami was telling me, he does like, and I suppose Alfonso does as well. Like he'll do, yellow, blue, red, purple, and some other colors that you can't mix on the side. And then he'll mix all of his colors on his palette at once. And then he'll have like, and he'll create like 8 colors from one color that he's mixed. And then there'll be these micro, so that you get the harmony across the palette. And then when you paint, because you're using roughly the same, you get, I know Alfonso said it as well, like, but then you get painters who somehow have that image in their head already, and they can keep that unison without doing it, like Richard Gray or Alberto Fonte guy. I never know if it's Fonte because there's an E there, I'm pretty sure. Anyway, but these guys aren't like mixing the same way like Anao and Alfonso do. They're mixing because they have to mix, but they're mixing rather than like from the pot that's down. They already know in their head how to mix. Like Athami explained how he creates the range on his palette, then he paints with that, whereas these guys can just, it's a different style. But anyway, the point was, the reason why you'd use heavy bodies or the scale is to keep that harmony, but also exactly how they work because they're pure pigments.
Yeah,
that's why Chimera is so good, because a lot of them you can put them directly on the model. I don't think many people do. They often mix them, but not all of them. By the way,
I've got to say, I hadn't appreciated till he told me that every paint has a different.
Yeah, they're totally different.
Which would be a nightmare.
Well,
obviously not for the experienced guys, but it's going to take
when
some time to get used to it. Yeah.
It's kind of fun. Obviously, I'm just getting back into painting actually. Like, I contacted on now and said like, hook me up, and I've got a little bit of burning desire, as it were, to paint a little bit more, which I've not had in a very long time, like a bigger scale. But I started painting my elder, and I fucking flopped straight away. I was like, just
Yeah,
couldn't
okay.
work out how
Yeah,
to
I know
paint
the
it.
one. I've seen it on your desk. Yeah, so it's a was it 54 mil sculpt
74,
you've had 74 mil
yeah, by
sculpt you've had done.
Joaquin. But the
And
point is,
why did you flop?
just
Not
got.
knowing how to
I put my
approach.
base colors down. There's purple. I'm doing like a shiny purple armor. I don't know, man. It was like stage fright or something. Just couldn't get past it. Like I blocked it all out. Like it was all. Hold on, stay there, everyone. I don't know. I don't know, Lionel. I haven't got an answer. I was just like, it was like, I can't do this.
What while you're looking for that, that did remind me actually. So when I kind of went, oh, I like these AK paints, but
Oh,
I don't want to
AKR,
start.
the consistency is so nice.
Yeah, I don't want to start buying
Right, yeah.
bottles and bottles of it. What I did do is I bought the intense range first because I like high saturation anyway, and I bought the pastel range. So
Intense range from AK. They've got the same name
yes,
as Steely Bastards.
intense. Well, not ink tense, intense.
Oh, okay, that's
Intense.
fine. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so intense range, which is a highly saturated range. When I say range, it's just 6 paints in a box, and then I bought their pastel range.
Yeah.
And then what I decided, you know what, I'm just going to mix with what I've got. And I found I've used them exclusively, with the exception of the green tonight. I've used them exclusively on the last few models I've done. And I've been able to get so much range just out of both those paint sets in terms of saturation, desaturation, and the different colors I've got there. It's kind of made me realize, actually, I don't need to be buying a lot more paints. There are some paints like browns. I will need their browns because it's very difficult to make decent tertiaries and purples.
Turquoise.
But I realized actually I'm not going to. And the other thing I like about them as well, this is turned into an AK loving, but it's not meant to be. The other thing I like about them as well is they do smaller box sets, which has just got 4 paints in. There's been so many times where you buy the green range from a company and there's 7 paints in there, and you go to your favorites and you don't really need all of them because you could probably mix the other 3 that are in there
the hard way, don't you?
Yeah. And what I like is that they've got a blue set which has just got 4 paints in it, and basically if you're mixing you can make huge ranges between those. So yeah, I am really enjoying them and finding them really easy to paint with. I'm not too sure. I don't think I've done a big project with them yet. I've done mostly wargaming pieces or tabletop pieces with them, and I really, really enjoyed them from that. Sorry, go ahead. You found your elder.
There you go. All right, so you can't see it very clearly. Undercoated.
Can you make it bigger over the paints?
Oh, what? Yeah, but the point. Oh, there you go. The point is, I'm too scared.
Put it over me, thank you.
Yeah. I can't put it over me. That's the problem.
No, I'm not going to put it over the paints, Lila, that we stopped discussing.
No, it's too much effort. I'd have to download it.
I'll put it over your face.
Do you get what I mean, though? So I've done the base coats, and then I just got there, and I was just like, fucking hell, I don't know what to do.
Are you working off a piece of art?
No.
Okay, so that's your first thing. So the one thing that I've learned.
Oh well, I've got a reference photo which has it's got the colours and the rough shapes of where to put stuff.
Okay.
But so the model's slightly different.
The one thing that I have learned from Arnell, which is invaluable, is you've got to plan your piece before you even pick up the brush. You've got to have your references. You've got to know where you're going. And you mentally paint it in your head. So you know what your volumes are going to be. No, I mean, and it's something that's unusual. And you think, what am I doing here? Sitting daydreaming about painting this model when the model sat downstairs on my desk. It's easier for me because it's very hard for me to get near my model when my kids are awake. But it's so invaluable because then when you go down, you kind of mentally make the mistakes in your head. And you've kind of got an idea where you're going, rather than sitting there and thinking and assessing where you're going to place what when the model's right in front of you and the paint's loaded on your brush.
Yeah, that's what I did. And I thought, yeah, fuck this.
Oh, okay.
Just went and painted my yellow elder that I'm painting. Do start too late though. But yeah, it's an interesting thing that you say because I don't know how you can just do that obviously. I think it's a mindset that you get into, isn't it?
Yeah, like you have to do it the first time. So obviously, if you're working with him on a project, he'll show this to you, and you kind of have to just go with it. But then when you start sitting down and painting, it's so much quicker and so much intuitive. And think, why have I got better? And it's like, no, you haven't really, because there's been nothing to do. It's because you've sat down and planned it. And then I've kind of adopted it, not to the extent that I did with the piece I did with him, but I've kind of adopted it with even my gaming pieces, like what colors I'm going to do, how I'm going to pick it. And I've done one now. Look, it's tabletop, but I've done it in 2 evenings. I would have never done one in 2 evenings before, or just like that.
Because you already have it mapped out, right?
Mapped out in my head. And I've been thinking about painting it. So like when I was sitting upstairs watching SpongeBob SquarePants with my 3-year-old, and I couldn't leave her by her side, there's nothing else I could do. I kind of daydreamed about painting it, and it works.
Hold on. Did you say, was that the punchline?
I finished with that and it works. Don't worry, your sound hasn't gone.
Yeah. No, I thought I'll just quickly get this out and scratch my little ear hole.
Oh, sorry.
Because you'll be talking. And
for a while. No, I stopped.
I'll miss,
that was it.
Well, I only missed like 2 seconds.
It wasn't worth listening to, Jamie. What I would say is,
here we go. It's all kicking off.
Right. No. What I would say is don't listen.
Yeah,
don't listen to me and just cover my face with an elder. And
wow, I could do this.
Yeah.
No, well, I heard it all. 3-year-old door, SpongeBob SquarePants. You planned it while you did it, but it made a difference. Interestingly, right, we're back. I'm about to find out if my mic was quiet as well. My battery's running out of my light, but we should, for all of our conversations, come back here. So I've been thinking about these, and it's interesting they give us a picture of how it looks. The reason why I find that interesting is because, as if that's meant to give us an indication or learn from. But what I will say is they do look like look at that pale red. It's very covering, so.
The contrasts are designed to cover, so that they're designed to cover, aren't they? Everywhere,
right?
They're meant to be a speed paint and maybe slightly sink into the recesses, but they're all about getting things tabletop ready, aren't they? So yeah, so they're meant to have the. Obviously, they don't, but they're meant to have the finish off the acrylic with the speed and ease of application of a wash, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I get you. Yeah, I do. So yeah, this is obviously the full thing, and this is. So it's warp fueled, which is really good. I was worried about that actually, and it's wonderful. So there are 2 things that that I wasn't, I constantly I wasn't sure they were going to be, and now I know they are. I could probably back this pretty well.
Well, is there an Eldar there as well?
Yeah,
isn't the green one an Eldar?
Yeah, with,
so you'll have to back it.
Well, that's even called Contrast Aldaria Emerald.
Well, full case of those for you then, Jamie.
What is that Elder even doing? It's actually quite a nice pose, I'll say.
These obviously interest me because they're the more saturated ones that I've entered. I'm interested in the contrast because I might experiment with it. I've heard people say they put them through an airbrush and they work really well through an airbrush. I've got a Hulk to paint, so that green I might bang for an airbrush and see how it works.
Dragon Scorpion Green. That is literally the colour name from back in the day as well. Blimey, stealing all the bloody names, aren't they? Their own names. Again, one question I had about the red was, is it rich, and is it regal? And they've confirmed it. So, who are we to deny it? Everyone was probably worried about that, weren't they? God,
they are. I mean, when you look at these pictures, if they haven't been altered, they are a bit full on, aren't they?
That's a lot of red, and it's rich.
Well, but all of them, they're an assault on the senses in terms of.
Yeah, but you also have to paint on top of it, surely.
Yeah, obviously, but for Citadel as a base, but for Citadel color, they're very saturated, aren't they? Because I always think GW, they have got the odd paint in their range, which is quite saturated, but in the main, they're not. There are other companies that do
Yeah, probably.
brighter, more vibrant paints, aren't there?
Except for the
These
90s. Yeah.
these are
Well,
they do get off
I
the
mean,
page on punchy, don't they?
I think it's a
If
combination though. It's probably because they're undercoating white as well. Like all of our
there is
models that we do, yeah, we undercoat with black, don't we? Like,
it's quite funny actually when you go to on that first one which shows a whole range, they show you the before and after before, you know, with the Space Marine in white, and then they've covered it with yellow, and then in front of it the newer white, which is
it's
whiter
whiter.
than the last white.
Yeah,
Yeah, and how it covers. I actually prefer the older one because there's more contrast in
shadows.
the old.
Yeah.
There's more shadow in the older one, whereas that one, it just looks flat.
Well, I'm
There's no
assuming that they're doing that so that when you add this wash, hold on, there you go. It's a shade better than the old ones, which is again important. When you add this to that, then you get your you get your thing popping. You know.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I mean,
I'd still. It's still an extra stage, isn't it? If you're going to airbrush it, I'd prefer
yeah, but they're
the
not airbrushing,
natural.
are they?
Well, they've got an airbrush range, haven't they? They airbrush now.
Blimey. I'll be honest though, I've been really looking for some Soul Blight grey. That's something that I really like. Getting that soul.
I can't tell whether you're being serious or whether you're being sarcastic.
Sarcastic all the time.
I've got to say, actually, if you go back one, the shade in the bottom right for the white.
That's the Soul Blight, yeah.
Yeah. I couldn't see the name. That is brilliant. If you're not brilliant at painting white and you want to get a whole army done, spraying them all white with a spray can that they've released and just washing that over the top.
Yeah.
It is a really good result, isn't it? If you're playing tabletop and you're
Games
painting.
Workshop calling us up, asking us to come in with all that promotion we've just given them.
Yeah, 40 or 50 Marines.
Yeah.
In that sense, in terms of innovation, that's great. The others aren't doing anything for me.
No, but we're not the kind of guys who like 50 Space Marines on a table painted white with one color, really.
No, but you've got to look at stuff and think, how would I use it? How would I? Just because you don't,
well, that the one bottom left,
you can't dismiss the entire range. I've still got plenty of GW paints, and I said I've got a few contrasts as well that I do use. It's more of a case of, do I see a need for it in my painting?
I do think that the some of the, we don't paint enough to mess around, but yeah, I do think that bottom left one could be worthwhile, like for some bleached bone or some. The others are probably harder, but maybe you use them in combination, you know, like. But then the thing is, they're so desaturated. You're not going to use this to pump up any volumes or colors, are you?
No. I mean, the reason I'm finding these a bit unusual, like if you put that contrast over first, so that red, which is so red, and then you want to apply a shade for a different, those shades are going to struggle to make any impact on those.
Yeah.
Unless you know your complementary game. So a lot of average gamers and painters will probably put the red over the contrast red, thinking, why isn't the shade? You're going to have to put green probably to make it work. But I don't think GW explain color theory like that.
They don't care. It doesn't. Yeah, they don't really want you to know. Really. Well, maybe that's not true. But
for gamers to know. So I don't know.
I'm also very curious. These huge ass models. How many pots of this fucking ink you must need?
Yeah.
They had. Where was he? Hold on. This big bastard. I suppose I could have just shown you that.
Because they're about £5 a pot now, aren't they? There must be £5 a pot.
It's bargain, mate, for what you get. Hours of savings.
Well, you get halfway through, then you spill it, don't you? So
that's true. Yeah, I didn't realise that the white was so dark. I'm frankly, I'm upset by that. Like, look, the old white, it's rubbish. I just think they've bumped up the brightness on that. The other ones they've put up the contrast and then gone. It's the same.
They have, but I still think the old one works better.
Yeah, I suppose we're going to have to test it out for the show, Lionel.
Yeah, no, but it doesn't work. Oh, I don't know.
All right, then we're back at the beginning. Well, I guess I never used the old one, so I can't really comment properly to say which or what. Do you know what I mean?
You never use the old what? Sorry.
Contrast paint. So I can't really make an informed decision and say these are better than the old one.
No. These aren't replacing the old ones. This is an
Oh,
extension of that
I
range.
see. I see.
So they're adding these colors to that range.
Yeah.
I think the things that are being replaced are the shades. The shades now have a different formula.
Yeah, all reformatted to apply effortlessly. Brilliant. Plus 7 new shades. Also brilliant. Oh, I see.
Yeah.
So they're keeping the old colours, but they're using the new formula, and they're adding 7 new ones. Right,
Yeah.
fine.
And with the contrast, they add to the existing contrasts that were already in range.
So brilliant. So brilliant. I'm so proud of them. I, I would love to hear from anyone who had used contrasts and if it revolutionised your joy. It'd be a weird show for you to watch this show if you're just undercoating and just slapping this on. I imagine most of our viewers are not those guys.
No, but once again, like I said, there is a place in your toolkit for everything. So, like I said, I use contrast, but I don't use them the way they're designed to be used. I use them for pin washes.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But like I say, I've heard a lot of people say they put it through an airbrush.
Yep.
And the way it reacts to the model and the vibrancy you get is very different. I mean, a lot of them, in terms of the saturation, they're akin to scale 75 inks. They just don't, when you apply them by brush, they react more like GW shades. Whereas if you put them through an air, so I understand, I've not tried this, but when you put them through an airbrush, they're very different.
I mean, there we go. That's our homework, I guess. You don't really set homework.
Your homework, you've got to put it in on your purple large elder.
Oh, maybe, yeah. Apparently I'm tired, but I'm going after.
It's only 4:45 midnight, Jamie.
I didn't have. Oh, fuck me! The light just decided to turn on. That's weird.
Just as we're closing out.
That's that. Well, it's been on, but that's really weird. I'm going to Austria on Monday for 8 days, and then I'm coming home a day before we fly to, and I'm going directly to Eindhoven, Lionel.
So in that, you go. So we're not recording then again, are we?
Oh, good point. We could record on Sunday and go out and push it out for.
Record this Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, possibly.
Okay, and then we're not. We might as well talk about it on air because we'll never organise ourselves anyway.
Want to know,
and then that way they know. Oh, we haven't heard from them at all. It's because Jamie flew out to Austria.
That bloody cock. Also, if they want to burgle my house for all my original artwork,
we can.
They know when I'm away.
You live at your address is sorry.
It's for. I found out it was actually online. A bloke messaged me the other day. It was like, by the way, you're Dave, Mr. Dave. Your CV's online. It's like public. I was like, no one's gonna fucking care. Good luck breaking into my house anyway.
Your CV's online, or your
my CV, but that has my address. Yeah.
What's your address on your CV for?
Got to tell people where you live, mate. Otherwise, how do they know to trust you? I don't know.
In the digital age, isn't it just emails and professional?
Maybe I'll take that off.
Yeah, maybe.
Or change
along with that photo you've got in the top right-hand corner, because I don't bother with photos anymore either.
I've never. I remember Tina put her face on her CV coming over from Austria, and everyone does it there. And I was like, "What are you doing?" She was like, "What? What's wrong?" I was like, "Well, this is probably the weirdest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. Like, you've got a photo of you, and it's a professional photo. It has to be professional. You have to be dressed like in
of course
office. Yeah. Well, yeah, but this is what I wear to the office. Whereas, people who are professional don't. Yeah, it really freaked me out. But yeah, cultural differences, eh? Put your CV on there. Now, I suppose in the UK you can't because of equality, which isn't a bad thing.
I think it's not been openly said, but I think that's basically what it is. You can't help but draw an opinion when you see a photo.
But the thing is, the names is also a big giveaway. Without going into specifics, like
it can be, but I think
racist,
people. I don't think it's that. I think people are just more judgmental when they see somebody's appearance. When
And
I mean, I'll be honest. I've said it. It's been said to me more than once that when I turn up for an interview, people expect an elderly white gentleman in his 50s because of my name, Lionel. They don't expect
Yeah,
So it's like
that's
so so yeah. In that sense, it's
curveball, isn't
people do people do have preconceived expectations. Okay, so in that case, how long have we got till Expo?
So
Have we got 2 weeks?
yeah, basically it's the 30th. We go out, so 15 days for 2 weeks. If you wanna, yeah. So I'm gonna fly there 8 days, do my duty, come back a day before, and then fly.
I hope they don't watch this. Your in-laws.
Imagine they definitely don't. Um,
Yeah.
well, it's in English for a start. They
Right.
both
Then your
speak
father
English.
was like, "Oh, contrast paints. I'll watch this one. I'm really
Yeah,
interested.
imagine. Yeah, I've been looking
I
at
like the
for
way they
some
apply."
contrast paints. Wait a second,
Jamie.
you bastard. Oh shit, what was I saying? Yeah, right. To be honest, it's not important. I can record there. I just won't have any camera or setup, so it's pretty stupid to record there. But we could record on Sunday, go out on Wednesday, and then
It can do, but Sunday's Father's Day. You know that, don't you?
in our country.
Well, yes, Jamie.
Yeah, I'm just checking.
Well, why am I telling you that it's
You
Father's
might have
Day
looked
in
up
Australia?
Austria's Father's Day.
Oh no, no. I'm talking about this Sunday. You're still in the country this Sunday, aren't you?
Oh right, yeah, I
If we
suppose. Yeah, but
record this Sunday, it's Father's Day.
half an hour. This all this takes now to record. So
Only because we're up against it. I think if we get given time,
admittedly, though,
we'll have to. Now that I know that you're flying out to Austria, we're going to have to try and get something recorded to put out, because it seems silly to start, as always, start this format. We're going to go weekly, and then you just
I'm off on holiday.
Here's a spanner, just right in
Yeah.
the works.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, and we want to give back to the people who've supported us. We're nice people, really. We actually do have some people that have supported us, just for the,
Oh no, we do have loyal commenters.
The only reason why we came back is because those people who emailed or messaged us. To be honest, otherwise, why bother?
No, and like I said, it always surprises me that we got some people who watch show regularly and put up with us, and comment in every video. I still always appreciate it. That they take time, because it does help us out. It does help the algorithm. It helps everything. So if you can comment down below. If you're still here with us now, you might as well just go the last leg and leave a comment as well. Because if you've been here this long,
what's interesting
dedicated.
is YouTube caption every single YouTube video, right? So they listen to the audio and then they caption it, so you can get auto subtitles and all that kind of crap. But it means that they know which people ask for, please like, subscribe, and comment. Leave a comment down below. Like, there must be phrases that they. So I wonder if their algorithm is like, right, they fucking said it. We'll pump it because they asked for it, or they're like desperate. People who don't ask, I'll push it. I suppose they don't care.
I don't think they can.
I don't think so either. On a video note, was that louder?
No, just sounded really dirty.
Okay. Yeah. We only took around 12 minutes, I think, to get set up, or 15 minutes. Except for, I think we're going to find out. I think halfway through, I fucked up my audio. Do you know why, Lionel?
Why?
Basically, I have a NAS downstairs, as in below my desk. And while you were talking, it's got like 8 hard drives in one case, and it makes sounds when the hard drives spin. And while you were talking, I could see on my mic that the levels were going up. So I turned the gain down a little bit on the mic.
Right. Okay.
And I only realised when I paused it. So there's a good chance we lost all the viewers after about 10 minutes anyway.
So for once, what you're saying is they'll be able to hear me and not be able to hear you.
Yeah. If the viewership goes up at that point, then we'll see a pattern. Right. What was the fucking point here? Point was, this is the smoothest we've had set up, right? Isn't it?
Yeah.
And we've had no camera issues, no delay. The assets were perfect. Well done, Jay. Except for the mic thing and the light thing, it's been brilliant. It's been a pleasure. Except that it's been an hour and 20 minutes. I started timing it because I wanted to know how long the setup was. I forgot to push pause, but that's how I knew it was 15 minutes. Oh, Blimey. So how are you, Lionel? No, we're wrapping it up, aren't we?
20 past, yeah, it's 20
Yeah.
past midnight here. I've got school run to do in the morning. So I like the way as well we completely dropped our guard. We just tell the audience stuff that they're not interested in.
Behind the curtain.
So, yeah.
People want to get
So
them to know the real us.
It's 20 past 12. I've got school run in the morning as well. So,
My daughter's going to wake up in 5 minutes already. I already had to show her the paint that she painted on this fake shop that I made out of a box because she woke up screaming that her paint had melted. And I was like, your paint doesn't melt, it's dry. She goes, no, it's melted. I was like, right, you're getting a special treat. Plopped her on me, showed her the paint, she felt it. She goes, it's not melted. I go, yeah. And then I put it back to bed. So,
result.
Yeah. Well,
there you go. You've earned your Father's Day present now for that one.
Look, I don't know.
That probably is your Father's Day present. She's probably making that shop for you.
Yeah. I mean, in fairness, that's some innovation from her. I'll take it. So yeah, thank you for everybody watching.
Thanks, guys, and we'll see you on the next episode.
Flip flop, whenever that is. Wednesday, hopefully.